On January 22nd, a team of 4 made a trip to Haiti in an effort to offer their assistance to those in need in the earthquake-ravaged town of Port-au-Prince. The group was comprised of 2 pilots, Rotarian Tom Gurka and Mark Stevens, and Drs. Orlando Smith, leader of the opposition, and dermatologist at Eureka Medical, Dr. Geronimo Jones.
A couple walks in with a box, and it says, "Baby in box, do not discard." So I'm like, man, it was the last thing I wanted to see that morning. So one of the doctors that was with me, I was like, you got to go look in that box. I can't look in the box. So he went and looked in the box, and he said, yeah, baby's fine. But what happened was they had the baby like at home, and wanted to bring the baby in and the mom just to be checked in the morning. And that's all they had to carry the baby, and it was a box. It was a box. I think I can't remember what was in the box, but it was a small box. So that was their carriage.
According to Dr. Jones, the majority of patients being seen at the various hospitals and makeshift medical outlets across Haiti were being treated for amputations, some as young as 4 years old.
I was basically doing wound care, so I would see amputations as well as, trauma from the bricks falling down. Because you ask every patient what happened, and they would say the bricks fell on me. So all that damage we saw was from people being under rubble and under bricks. But I would say easily a third of my patients were amputations, and the other ones were severe, like crush injuries. And the thing is, the thing with these people, it's not like you have a patient here and you can send them home. They have clean water. They might even have air conditioning. You're sending people back that probably sleeping out. Well, most of them are sleeping outside, but might not even have a tent. So you had to sort of alter your management. You had to really cover the wounds as opposed to trying to let them get air and heal faster. But you would see a lot of this stuff that was already infected. You had to do what you could with it. And you had to give them the antibiotics that we had. We didn't have the best coverage, but we tried to give them something. We didn't send anyone home without antibiotics, but ideally in another situation, you would have given them different antibiotics, even up to 3 antibiotics. When you get those amputations, they're very painful, especially right after the amputation. And not only that, you actually still feel the limb. To me, I thought the kids were the strongest, because you would see the kids getting on bad, but you actually see the parents crying. But the kids, as soon as you did what you had to do as far as bandages and stuff like that, they would be up smiling and playing. I have a picture in there with a little, I think he's 4 years, no, he's probably three-year-old, who has burns to his hand. And the kid, the toughest kid I ever met in my life, he had those burns to his hand, didn't cry at all. Didn't ask for anything, just sat there with a straight face while I dressed it and changed it. So I thought the kids were pretty tough.
Dr. Jones explained to JTV that world-renowned neurosurgeon Dr. Sanjay Gupta had also made the journey to Haiti. Dr. Jones spoke of the privilege he had to meet him, as well as what he learned about the famous doctor during their brief meeting.
It was interesting because I had just left my post. I was going to the pharmacy to get something, and I saw a guy, and I said, man, he looks just like Sanjay Gupta. And I was like, that's it, that's him. So I went up to him, I said, I was very proud of the work that he's doing, blah, blah, blah. And he was very humble. He was like, we're proud of the work you're doing. He told me some statistics that were going on in Haiti. As far as there's over 100,000 amputations. I didn't know it was that many. And he had been there since it happened, and he looked visibly tired. And what I respected the most about him was he actually came there and saw patients both times he was there. So, it wasn't just, Hollywood and CNN. You could see he was concerned.
One journalist who had traveled to Haiti was a source of relief for many of the people there, as each day he would pull out his harmonica and play, a gesture that seemed to carry away the existing situation on each note rendered from his instrument. Dr. Jones shared that the journalist was making plans to raise funds for Haiti upon his return home.
He was a photojournalist there from North Carolina, and he was trying to raise, his intention is to raise money for Haiti. So he was there with a friend of his that was a nurse. And, he interviewed people, took pictures, would play his harmonica.
With the devastation that was experienced in Haiti, you would most likely expect nothing more than frustration and despair to fill the hearts of the people there. But Dr. Jones shared another scene, one that reflected the people's hope and their continued faith.
They did devotion every morning, and they would sing these spiritual songs in Creole. And, when you spend the night at the hospital, you're not sleeping that much. So I would actually just get up and just listen to them. And the woman who slept sort of where near I slept just had an amazing voice. So she was the one that usually started it. And you would see some of the patients come out there, you'll see, in crutches, and they would all chant these Creole hymns or whatever they were. But everybody knew the words. I didn't know what they were saying, but I could sort of feel what was going on.
We asked Dr. Jones about the one thing he wished for the most while he was in Haiti, and he was quick to respond that his greatest desire was simply for fresh water to drink.
I don't think people realize there's no electricity in Port-au-Prince, and there's very little running water. But my thing was we were there officially with Rotary, so we really didn't come there with supplies. We were sort of relying on, the kindness of other people. So it wasn't just like water flowing. You had to go and ask people for water. I mean, sometimes you'd sit there with water and somebody come up to you and ask you for some, and you sort of feel obliged to give it to them. But I was thirsty quite a few days. So I definitely appreciate water much more now.
Finally, Dr. Jones made a suggestion for all those who may be thinking about making some sort of contribution to Haiti.
Well, one thing it did for me is definitely make me appreciate just small things, because I don't think anyone here can say they've seen this level of poverty. I mean, you couldn't even send a patient to the store and say, buy a Band-Aid. No money. But it made me appreciate little things. I mean, the food I eat, the clothes on my back, being able to take a shower every day. I mean, it definitely made me appreciate just smaller things. I mean, when I was there, I wasn't missing anything major. I wasn't missing hanging with my friends. I wasn't missing partying. I wasn't missing anything. I was missing little stuff like, wanting a cold glass of water when you wake up at night, or to sit under a shower, or to eat something nice, because every day was beans and rice. You ate what the patients ate. But what I would tell to the BVI people, one, if people want to donate stuff, I would say donate your time. Because there's a lot of money going there, but they're going to need people there more than doctors. They're going to need people that do construction, masonry, teachers. If you could go there and put in 2 weeks and do something like that, that would be great. But you sort of got to be there to experience it. I mean, CNN doesn't even come close to what's really going on there. And it's bad, and, it's not going to be helped with just money. You need people to go there. Because one interesting fact is there's one of the universities that collapsed there. And they did a search for live people, but they're assuming there are 600 students in that university dead right now. And it seems like a lot of the educated people have passed also. And the people there that have money, they're going to the States or going to wherever. So it's a tough group that they're leaving behind. So it's going to be that much more of a struggle. So I would tell people, don't just give time, give your money, give some time.
Anyone who truly listens to Dr. Jones' recap of his trip to Haiti sees that there is much to be thankful for. We in the BVI can be thankful that despite the challenges we face, we have life, we have food, we have water, and we have health, things that we sometimes take for granted. As we continue to experience these blessings, however, let's not forget the people of Haiti and all those who aren't as fortunate as we are. This is Walter Barrett, Beyond the Headlines.